Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, welcome. Welcome to all of you who are new. Welcome back to all of those returning. I hope you've been enjoying our festive menu in our festive dining hall. Big thank you to the kitchen for providing this month's special menu. Before we get started today, I'd like to acknowledge that we are gathered today on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam people. We also have staff joining us from Zoom, as this is a hybrid event, possibly from different territories, so I acknowledge the traditional owners and caretakers of those events. My name is Stacey Barber. I work here at St. John's College, and I'm also a member of the Hot Lunch Committee. Also joining me from the Hot Lunch Committee are my SJC colleagues, Jennifer Liu, Joanna Yang, I'm not sure where you are, but, oh, there you are. Also, Dr. Henry Yu, principal also at St. John's College. Sherlyn Akata, UBC ombudsperson. Andrew Parr, who I believe is here today, the Associate Vice President at Student Housing. Andrew, there's Andrew. And other committee members here who couldn't be here today include Eilish Courtney, Cheryl Dumarisk, and I think I've gotten everybody there. I also want to say thank you to SJC staff member Rehane, who's been a great help at Hot Lunch and getting everything ready today. So here we are at our last session of 2023. And our session just before we actually formally celebrate our 10th anniversary, which is January 2024. So January 2014, Hot Lunch was launched. Our first speaker was the VP of Human Resources at the time, Lisa Castle. And our first buffet offering was the Italian buffet, just a bit of trivia. So since then, a bit more trivia. We've had, I believe this is our 85th Hot Lunch session. So yeah, we've had a lot of experience over the 10 years. So during the thank you. So over the during the pandemic, we did do some virtual sessions and we extended into the summer session. So that's why we got up to 85 sessions. So question for you. Any guesses on what the cost of a Hot Lunch ticket was in 2014? Guesses? $10. That's right. So $10. Were you there? Oh, you were. So even though the cost of food and labor and all of those things has increased over the past 10 years, well, over the past 2 years, really, the cost of the ticket has remained the same. And that's been important to the committee to keep the cost remaining the same for as long as possible, so it stays accessible. That's also been important for Human Resources, as has been this initiative, and we're very grateful for the sponsorship support of Human Resources and the VP offices at UBC. It's very meaningful for us to have our current Vice President of Human Resources as our guest speaker in our anniversary year. So before I do welcome today's speaker, just a few housekeeping notes. Our Hot Lunch survey does remain open. We have had a lot of responses for which we're grateful for. You can still take the survey, it remains open. So there's a sign on our tables that has the QR code. So if you just scan that QR code, it'll take you to the survey. Or if you want to do it later, you can find the link on our website. We've also been making monthly draws to Hot Lunch from those people who take the survey. So you can take, you don't have to put your name to it, but if you do, we're going to be doing draws monthly. I'm not sure if this person is here, but this month's winner was Cody Bugler. Is Cody here? But Cody has won 2 free tickets to Hot Lunch in January. Also on the table, you'll see some feedback sheet. So as speaker is talking, if you happen to have any questions, you can write them down on those sheets. We'll take a brief break after the presentation, and we'll go around and collect those questions. So the format today is we'll have our presentation. We'll take a brief break. You'll have some time to maybe get a coffee or write down any questions. And then our speaker will come back and answer as many questions as she wants to. So our guest speaker this month is Marcia Buchholz. Marcia was appointed Vice President of the HR portfolio in April 2020. Probably not the easiest time to be appointed, but but nonetheless, Marcia was also a speaker at Hot Lunch when we were doing it virtually during the pandemic, and that was in June 2021. So we're so pleased that she could come back and join us in person. Please join me in welcoming Marcia Buchholz.
Hi, folks. Very nice to be here again. I do want to thank the Hot Lunch leadership team, Stacy, Henry, Shirley, Andrew, and the whole crew for inviting me back to speak with you once again. And this year, as Stacy's mentioned, is a milestone for the Hot Lunch program, now celebrating its 10th anniversary. And it was also mentioned that my predecessor, Lisa Castle, was the first Hot Lunch speaker. And I know that there has been this long tradition of supporting the Hot Lunch. And I think my remarks will really sort of tune you into why I feel that this is such an important event. So the question is, what is the attraction of the Hot Lunch? Why do so many of us look forward to this event? In a word, it's community. Building a community of sharing food, sharing conversation, and sharing ideas. The value of the Hot Lunch program contributes to building community and developing employee resilience at UBC, both personally and institutionally, is significant. Developing resilience is critical to our overall mental health and well-being, and research documents how community and social connectedness plays a crucial role. For example, an early study by Castro and Zotra found that there is a very strong association between resilience and interpersonal connections, which highlights the importance of social relationships for both positive health outcomes. It also suggests that social connections work at the psychological, the physical, and community levels in times of stress. This helps people deal with challenging and uncertain times and to build resilience during this adaptation process. Last May, the US Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, released a new Surgeon General advisory calling attention to the public health crisis of loneliness, isolation, and lack of connection. Even before the onset of COVID in 2020, approximately half of US adults reported experiencing measurable levels of loneliness. Loneliness and isolation increase the risk for individuals to develop mental health challenges in their lives, and lacking connection can increase the risk for premature death to levels comparable to smoking daily. In fact, researchers at the University of Queensland have stated that loneliness is a social cancer, and it's every bit as alarming as cancer itself. The physical health consequences of poor or insufficient connection include a 29% increased risk of heart disease, a 32% increased risk of stroke, and a 50% increased risk of developing dementia for older adults. Additionally, lacking social connections increases risk of premature death by 60%. Isn't this uplifting? I'm kidding. Strong social connections and positive relationships within the community provide emotional support. They decrease stress levels and contribute to the development of coping mechanisms. Conversely, a fragmented or unsupportive community can lead to feelings of loneliness, alienation, and increased vulnerability to mental health decline. Mental illnesses can lead to social and economic costs that can affect the community's health and well-being. For instance, people with mental health issues are more likely to engage in substance abuse, self-harm, and suicide, which can have a devastating effect on their families and the community. Further, mental health problems can lead to absenteeism from work or school, decreased productivity, and an increased need for healthcare services. Therefore, it's crucial to address mental health issues that promote the community's well-being. But here's the good news for UBC. Over the last number of years, there's been a significant focus on developing mental health support. UBC was recently awarded the gold level certification by Excellence Canada, who are an external quality assurance body that objectively benchmarks the efficacy of our institutional mental health programming. And we are now well on our way to platinum level over the next couple of years. This achievement recognizes UBC's commitments to providing psychologically safe workplaces as directed through the Canadian National Standard for Psychological Health and Safety in the Workplace. This standard is the first of its kind in the world, and it sets out the voluntary guidelines, tools, and resources intended to guide organizations in promoting mental health and preventing psychological harm at work. UBC also provides extensive counseling supports through our Employee and Family Assistance Program, TELUS Health, and also through the psychological services provision through UBC Extended Health Benefit. UBC's Thrive program, which ran throughout the month of November, is a series of events focused on helping everyone at UBC explore their own path to mental health. And I hope that many of you participated in some of those events. And while I'm on this topic, I'd like to just give a quick shout out to our small but mighty well-being team in HR for making the Thrive program such a success. And I will also just mention that long before I joined UBC, and I was at another university, we heard about the Thrive program. We know what a fantastic program it is. Very few institutions have been able to actually duplicate it, but I do know that it's got a very, very strong reputation. I'd also like to say that UBC has had great support at all levels of the institution in supporting mental health in the workplace. The most recent Wellbeing Annual Report, which I believe is going to be published imminently, provided some great statistics to support this as follows. Last year, over 150 faculty and staff engaged in mental health literacy workshops, including the working mind, mental health first aid, and understanding mental health. 1,364 faculty and staff with managerial duties completed UBC's mental health in the workplace for managers and supervisors. This is a newly required mental health literacy training program. 37 new departments and units participated in Not Myself Today. This is a Canadian Mental Health Association initiative that facilitates action and activities to embed mental health conversations in the workplace. These are very strong and encouraging results that UBC should be very proud of. While we're celebrating the Hot Lunch 10th anniversary, it's also important for me to point out other UBC social connections. Over 100 faculty, staff, and postdoctoral fellows attended the in-person 2023 IBPOC Connections Faculty and Staff Lunch, supporting social connections and a sense of belonging on campus. 1,300 people attended the Summer on the Mall series hosted by Campus and Community Planning, hoping to support a vibrant and connected campus. And over 5,000 staff attended the Welcome Back to Campus barbecue this past September. Apologies for the lineups. Hopefully we're making that up today. All of these programs build on social connectedness. There are a plethora of other university programs and supports that help build community and resilience. For example, integrated human resources programs can be used to develop employee resiliency in higher education by providing employees with the resources and the support they need to be successful. This includes providing employees with access to training and development opportunities to help them develop skills and knowledge. And in addition to the broad training curriculum already provided, HR has recently launched 2 significant leadership programs at the senior leader levels. And we're also looking to refresh additional programming at the early leadership levels. UBC is currently piloting a performance enablement program, which will focus directly on employee development and engagement through focus coaching and career conversations. Institutions can also create a sense of community through culture and the practice of support and recognition programs. To that end, UBC has many recognition programs, including the President's Staff Awards, UBC's Quarter Century Club for faculty, the President's Service Award for Excellence, and the 25-Year Club for staff. In addition to that, the UBC's Facility Staff Awards, as well as numerous other faculty and research awards. And finally, UBC has supported employees both throughout and post-COVID. First through our remote work program when COVID first hit, and now through our hybrid work program. COVID had many and has many downsides. However, there's been much publicized about the benefits of now recognizing employees for who they are as people, not just at work, but also as whole people with lives and commitments and families and pets. In a psychology, my God, I haven't even had a glass of wine. Psychology Today article, from May 2023, Mental Health, the Hidden Advantage of Hybrid Work. An impressive 66% of hybrid workers reported that their mental health had improved as a result of hybrid work. This is attributed to the 81% of respondents who say that they have had additional personal time compared to pre-2020. The majority, 55%, spent this time with family and friends. 52% spent more time exercising. And 67% reported taking a short walk during the day. All of these have very positive impacts on mental health. Hybrid work has helped to provide more balance between the blurred lines of work and home life, which has contributed to improved mental health and also a very different kind of social connectedness. And so the role of the Hot Lunch program at UBC is a very important one. This program is part of the fabric of our UBC community that brings us together and acts as a touchstone to help us build resilience and foster social connections. My congratulations again to the Hot Lunch leadership team on the 10th anniversary of this program, and my sincere gratitude to all of those that are participating in this Hot Lunch program and for contributing to a strong and resilient UBC. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Marcia, for talking about the social connections and the importance of community, what this initiative is all about, and the importance of mental health at UBC, important time of year to be talking about it. So thank you so much, and thank you again for your support of this initiative. Okay, so now we're going to take a brief break. Let's do say 5 to 8 minutes. I'll come back we'll come back in about 8 minutes. For those who need to leave now, we understand everybody's lunch schedules are different. Now will be the time to do it. If any questions have come up for you and you would like to take some time to write it on some of the sheets of paper on your table, let's go around and collect those. help yourself to some coffee. If there's any dessert, you can try and get some dessert if there's any left. Okay, we'll talk to you in about 10 minutes. Okay, everyone. We'll have everyone take their seat again. We'll get to the question and answer period now. Hopefully everyone submitted their questions that they had. So we're going to call up Marcia now.
Thanks, Stacy. There were two questions that were submitted to me in advance that I would like to speak to. I took some time to actually prepare a response to them. The first one was about changing workdays on campus as a regard of hybrid work. And so I think it's important to actually get clarity for everyone in terms of what the program, what the guidelines are. And so the hybrid work program has many guidelines, and quite frankly, a lot of that is based on the makeup of the types of employees, the work that's done, and that's going to vary unit by unit. And so there will be changes. This is an evolving phenomenon globally, quite frankly. I mean, there's, every organization is affected by this mostly. So we can expect that there will be changes. And I can tell you that as the hybrid and the remote work programs were being considered, there was just no possible way that we could come up with the magic number of days that was going to work for staff in all the different areas across the university. It was impossible. And so essentially every portfolio is different. And so they're all going to have different needs. And that's for the positions that are eligible for remote work or hybrid work. And so as we were building out this program, and I just want to do a shout out to the steering committee, the hybrid work steering committee that I've worked with now over the last 3 years, going on 4. It's been a pleasure to have the input of all of these senior leaders really guiding the program and bringing the best thinking to the program. At the time we developed the remote work program, first and foremost, we realized that, this is going to have to be a decision that each leader makes. So you think about our faculties and how diverse our faculties are, the makeup of employees, the number of employees, the types that are able to actually work remotely, those that aren't. That is very challenging. And so we made the decision that deans and vice presidents would make the decisions based on their own unique portfolios. And this is important because one dean, for example, might say, I need for my students, I need everybody here these days of the week. And in a vice president portfolio, for example, depending on the kinds of services that you provide, that's also going to vary. So we felt that the best way to actually deal with this was to leave those decisions up to the respective leaders in those portfolios. And, quite frankly, this whole program is really a balance between delivering on our academic mission, dealing with the operations of running the university, and balancing that with the needs of our employees as well. So we want to encourage collaboration and team building. We know that's difficult to do on Zoom. For many leaders, I will just say that their decisions should be based on what they believe their staff need and what their faculty or unit needs. They do have the right to make changes to the days that you're required to be on campus. And I would say, we were sort of the pioneers, I would say, in post-secondary with developing first the remote work program. And many universities came to us for guidance on how to develop those programs. And we know from a CABO survey that came out last June, I believe, CABO, does everyone know what CABO is? Sorry. Okay, I'll just say Canadian Association of University Business Officers. And so they came out with a survey of the institutions across Canada. 90% of institutions in Canada have some kind of hybrid work program, and they expect it to stay. So there's no going back, okay, in terms of a hybrid work program. But I think what is fair to say is that there could be fluctuation based on the unit's needs. And I won't speak for any of my colleagues. Those are their decisions to make. And I hope that they're just made with, providing adequate notice to people, because people have based their lives around certain days of the week. So providing adequate notice is very, very important. So I hope that I've answered that question to the degree that it was intended. And I'm happy to take any other follow-up questions on hybrid work if there are any right now. Okay, I'm going to move on to the second question I had. And it was, do you have any advice for staff who are in an administrative role and just began their career journey at UBC? I do. And I think the career conversations are some of the most important we can have, for sure, in human resources, but as an institution around, engaging people, developing people, retaining people. I can tell you that every month when I review the exit surveys, I'm very dismayed to see that the top reason that staff leave the university is because they're looking for career development opportunities. That's such a shame, because there's so many opportunities for people at the university. And while career development is the responsibility of each employee, UBC has a role to play in providing supports for our employees to help give them some guidance. One of the things that we're doing in HR right now is building out a careers website. I don't have an ETA because we're just starting to build it right now. But that career website will be a compilation of all the different supports that we have in place to guide employees, answer questions, and provide support. So stay tuned on that. But just some pointers, as you originally asked. I think what I would say is learn as much as you can about the career that you're interested in. That sounds like a no-brainer, pretty obvious, but there's so many dimensions to any practice, any career path. And I think, the diversity is important. Take courses, read white papers, get involved in professional groups, develop a mindset of lifelong learning. Even though you can never know it all, the more that you're aware of emerging trends that can impact your role at the university, that's a valuable asset to have. Be persistent, don't give up. I can say that is a quality that I admire, is persistence. Not everybody does. My family maybe, or even the people I work with maybe don't appreciate it, but I am persistent. But it's just keep going at it, because that then also sends a message to your leaders about your passion, your wanting to be at the university and to really develop your career here. Don't be afraid to ask for feedback about your performance. I did talk for a moment there about the performance enablement program that we are piloting across the university. There's about 300 people involved in this pilot. We have about 8 different portfolios that are involved. And, the whole intention of this is that your leader is having performance conversations with you, not at the beginning of the year, not at the end of the year, but all the way throughout the year. And really sort of focused discussion on how you're doing, how they can support you with your performance priorities, how they can support you in terms of training and development opportunities. So talk to your manager about your career aspirations. And I think one of the most important things that I've learned throughout my career is not every move needs to be vertical. Consider lateral moves. And one thing that I would say has really benefited me is taking a generalist approach. So I have really spent the majority of my HR career in every part of the practice of HR. However, there's always more to learn, and this, the HR practice just continues to grow and grow. So it really is taking the time to understand what's new, what's happening within that particular practice, and reaching out, making connections both inside and outside of the portfolio that you work in, having connections, hearing about other opportunities. For example, if you're not on the website, the CURS website often. But what I will say is, there are so many fantastic opportunities at the university. And just recently we had the 25-year awards for staff. And it was fantastic. When I look at all the people that have been at the university literally for decades, I know there's possibilities here. I think that HR needs to do a better job of marketing those people to really demonstrate how people moved around and how they broadened out and got depth in the practices that they're in. So I hope that answered that question, and I'm happy to take some other questions here that came up. One of them was, what attracted you to the world of HR? And how does your leadership style inform your work at UBC? My world of HR consisted of me initially dropping out of university and knowing that I probably should not go home without having a job, saying that I had a job to go to. And I was in Winnipeg at the time, and I walked down to the corner of Portage and Main Street in Winnipeg, and there was a CIBC building there. I went up to the 22nd floor and asked if they had a job, and they put me in payroll. So I went home, I confessed to my mother what I'd done, and, she was not thrilled, to say the least. But that's how I got involved in HR, and I can tell you it's just been such a rewarding career. I have done so much under the domain of human resources, and it's just been a gift. And so I'm always happy to talk to people about how I got here. And so how does my leadership style inform my work at UBC? Well, I will say this, I'm about change. I'm about continuous improvement. I'm about results. And so I support the people that are part of the HR practice. We have unbelievable people, dedicated, passionate about what they do. But it's not just that. It's the focus on what does the university need, not what HR needs. And that is the shift in thinking that we're trying to move ahead with, is that we need to be more focused on supporting the mission and the institutional priorities, not just some of the work that we find interesting at UBC. Okay, one more. Okay, all right. What is your favorite way of de-stressing? My favorite way, I would say, of de-stressing is walking every morning about 3 kilometers. I live on campus, and we have a big dog, and he needs exercise. And so usually about 5:30 every morning, my husband and I get up and we walk all around campus with our great big golden retriever Trek. And that's how I get, I get anxious thinking about my day that's ahead. Even this, okay, it creates some anxiety. I won't lie. But for me, walking is the best way to relieve that stress. I noticed there was another question here about what am I currently watching on Netflix. I am a big Netflix fan. the one that I just watched that I thought was outstanding, I think it was Netflix, Lessons in Chemistry. I don't know if anyone else watched it, but it was so good. My daughter recommended it, and she said, "Don't give up, Mom." You know, she said, give it 10 minutes. You know, I turned it off, and I'm really glad that I did. It was outstanding. Okay, this is a long question. Here's one that says, is there a priority to explore allowing remote work outside of Canada? We've made the decision not to, folks, and I understand for many people, you know, that can be challenging. But there's many reasons why we don't allow that, and we don't allow it even outside of British Columbia unless it's part of your job responsibility. The reason for that, there's a number of reasons, but it's really around liability and reducing liability, workman's comp regulations, taxation, employment standards differ every province, and we've just gone through an audit really of some of the remote work arrangements, and we're having to reel those back in. So there are some people that are working from different provinces, and we've now had to provide them notice to say you do need to come back to BC. The role is in BC. And you know, the other thing I will say, I'll just wrap this up because you've been very patient with me, is that your employment agreements, the contracts that we've all agreed to in terms of working at UBC, they're about working here on campus. First and foremost, your agreements are on campus. The hybrid work agreement is just an arrangement that sits on top of that contract. And so it can be variable. Your employment contract is solid. But all that to say that it's important that we have people here. And, you know, not every day, obviously, because we now have this hybrid work program. But it's important that we keep this campus vibrant, that we have strong connections with our faculty and staff. And also that when we do have people here, that we're really getting the best of them. And what I mean by that is we're not having people come to sit and look at a laptop all day, that there are some very intentional engagement opportunities for people when they are here. And so we're working with leaders now to make sure that they are doing that we're not asking people to commute for an hour and a half to get here. I think that was yours, Stacey, only to sort of sit and do what you could have done at home. So it's really incumbent upon the leaders to make this a more engaging campus and hybrid work program. So thank you very much for your attention today. Really appreciate it. And I'll look forward to next year, maybe, if I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marcia, and for coming today and for taking the time to answer so many questions. So that wraps up Hot Lunch for the year. I hope to see many of you next year. And next year we have a special treat. January 31st is our next Hot Lunch. Of course, that marks our 10th anniversary, but it also marks our next speaker, who is, I'm telling them, who's a member of our Hot Lunch committee, Shirley Nakata. So we're very much looking forward to it. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for everyone for coming out, and happy holidays, and we hope to see you again soon next year.